It's time for another WrestlePlanet news update, as CM Punk reveals if he watches WWE television, Keith Lee reveals details on his quote fight against death, and we look at why Hangman Page is no longer on AEW TV. All that and more coming up in today's video, but first, AEW Rampage is set to debut tonight, which will be AEW's second TNT show. It will take place from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at the Peterson Events Center. So let's take a look at everything we know so far about Rampage. First, let's look at where we can watch the show. So in the United States, Rampage will of course air on TNT at 10 PM Eastern, which is the home of AEW Dynamite. It will just be airing slightly later in the night. If you are based in Canada, the show is not available on TSN2 like Dynamite is, but it can be watched on TSN Direct, which I believe is their paid streaming service. If you are outside of both of these countries, you can find Rampage on Fight through their AEW Plus service, which costs only $5 a month, but gives you access to all past episodes of Rampage and Dynamite on demand. I'll leave a link in the description where you can check if your country is eligible for this service. This link will also give you a 7-day free trial, so you'll be able to watch this week's episode for free. Next, what can we expect to see on the show itself? The commentary booth will see Excalibur, Chris Jericho, Mark Henry and Taz call the action, and so far 3 matches have been announced for the first episode. Because the show is only 1 hour long, it looks like this will be the full card, and it will be as follows. To open, Kenny Omega will defend his Impact World Championship against former TNA champion Christian Cage. This follows a confrontation on AEW Dynamite this week where 2 title matches were confirmed between the 2 competitors, one taking place tonight for Omega's Impact title, and one next month at AEW All Out pay-per-view for the AEW World title. This is followed by the second title match of the night with the AEW TNT champion Miro defending his title against the ever-popular Fuego del Sol. Fuego has made a name for himself on AEW Dark as well as Sammy Guevara's vlogs on his YouTube channel. This will be his first match for AEW that isn't on Dark or Dark Elevation. If Fuego wins, he gets a contract with AEW, but he must get past the undefeated Miro. And the main event of the show will see hometown Dr. Britt Baker DMD take on the challenger Red Velvet, who is likely to be accompanied to ringside by her Nightmare Family colleague Brandy Rhodes. Velvet was originally added to the Nightmare Family faction earlier this month, and she looks to add some gold to the family. And make sure you let me know your predictions for the show in the comments down below. AAA TripleMania is set for this Saturday and will be headlined by 2 AEW wrestlers as Kenny Omega defends his AAA Mega Championship against the debuting Andrade El Idolo. Unfortunately, due to some legal issues that AAA are facing, the show will not be officially available outside of Mexico. They are currently in a legal battle with Lucha Libre FMV, who were the investors that helped AAA start up their Lucha Underground project. AAA agreed to a deal that meant this group hold the exclusive rights to AAA content outside of Mexico essentially forever, or at least that's what FMV are claiming. AAA had been streaming their content after the fact on platforms such as Facebook, YouTube and Twitch, which meant they were available internationally outside of Mexico, but this was stopped after a lawsuit was filed. FMV's reading of the deal with AAA is that they didn't just only buy the rights to Lucha Underground, but they also bought the rights to every character AAA has ever created, past, present and future outside of Mexico, as well as any money they will ever make using those characters outside of Mexico. This means if you want to watch TripleMania, you might have a hard time doing so. The show will air on Saturday 14th of August at 9 PM Eastern. Either way, if you are wanting to watch Andrade wrestle Kenny Omega in this dream match, good luck. And quickly, just before we continue, make sure you scroll down and drop a like and subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss any upcoming wrestling content as we head towards 20,000 subscribers. But now that you've done that, let's get on with the rest of the video. As we know, CM Punk appeared in an interview on the Sunday Night's Main Event podcast to promote the upcoming TV series Heels, which Punk will play a part in. During the show, he was asked if he watches the current WWE product, with Punk stating that although he had to watch it when he was working for Fox for the WWE Backstage show, nothing draws him in, and he said, No, I had to watch it a little bit when I was an analyst for Fox, but I mean, how do I say this diplomatically? I think they've got some people who are super awesome and great in the ring, but you know, nothing grabs me to get me to want to watch. The interviewer Jason Agnew pointed out that it was unlike Punk to want to answer things diplomatically, which is the opposite of what he's known for, with Punk replying, "I'm getting a little long in the tooth now, and I would much rather uplift and show love to things I like than to tear anything down. You know, you can't say that what they're doing is wrong. They are the most profitable they've ever been since their inception, so who am I to say? You know what I mean? Like, it's ice cream. There's 31,000 flavors, everybody gets their favorite. I just don't like vanilla." Whilst Punk has had praise for Roman Reigns' new persona in the past, it seems he's not tuning in to see what rematches WWE has in store for their fans every week. And since today's video has been all about where you can't watch things, the new wrestling-based show Heels will premiere on August 15th, which is Sunday, on the Stars Network at 9 PM Eastern. I'm not sure where it's available internationally, but going from the trailer, it doesn't look too bad, to be fair. WWE Superstar Keith Lee took to YouTube this week to reveal why he was away from WWE television earlier this year. Lee was out from February all the way up until July, losing to WWE champion Bobby Lashley on his return. It had been reported that he was not medically cleared to compete, with Lee now revealing that doctors discovered heart issues after a battle with COVID-19. He also confirmed that his fiancée Mia Yim also tested positive for the virus back in January, forcing her to miss the Royal Rumble. In February, after a match with Matt Riddle, Lee received a call telling him that something wasn't right with his blood work, and it was then discovered that he had inflammation of the heart, sparking concerns of heart disease. Lee described his ordeal to fans and said, "So for 3 or 4 months, this was kind of the case, and I had several MRIs on my heart. By the way, I don't fit in those machines. It was terrible and my shoulders really struggled with that, but we had to do what we had to do, right?" So this became a fight against death, so to speak, and it took up until the company sent me to Pittsburgh to Dr. Joseph Maroon to get looked at, and it was to the point where I was about to have to undergo genetic testing and all sorts of things because it was thought that there was a potential I could have heart disease of sorts. Very fortunately, even though it took a long time, we waited that amount of time that allowed the inflammation in my heart to eventually go down to normal. So even though the first MRI was bad and the second one was worse, over time things got better here and there, and eventually after that visit I was cleared to try and get back into some sort of shape, and that's where the real struggle is. Thankfully, Lee revealed that he is now healthy after this battle, which he described as a fight against death. All I can say is that it's great to hear that he made it through, and hopefully this chapter is over for him. With Keith having all the talent in the world, the future is limitless. And finally, let's discuss another wrestling absence, this time that of Hangman Adam Page. The Hangman is currently absent from AEW television after his World Championship storyline with Kenny Omega came to an abrupt end, after he and the Dark Order lost their respective title matches after losing a 10-man tag match to the Elite. Page hasn't wrestled since, although he did appear last week at Homecoming to cool off his alliance with the Dark Order. PW Insider are now reporting that Page will be taking some time off ahead of the birth of his first child along with his wife Amanda. The couple announced the news back in June, and it seems the birth could be getting closer. There is no word on when the due date is exactly, and there is no news on when Page will be returning to television, but he is not included in the poster for the AEW FanFest at All Out Weekend, which is where Page was expected to face Omega for the title. It has been confirmed by Dave Meltzer that this was in fact the original plan. However, he is on the poster for the Grand Slam edition of Dynamite in Queens, New York at the Arthur Ashe Stadium, which is being held on September 22nd, but this could mean nothing, but we'll have to wait and see. Perhaps it's for the best that Page's title win is being delayed, with some expecting the title change to have happened at All Out in September. If it did happen there, it would have likely been overshadowed by the expected debuts of Bryan Danielson and CM Punk in the coming weeks. The latter is likely to wrestle his first match in the promotion at the pay-per-view, which would have been the talk of the night. Christian Cage has taken his place, and whilst this isn't quite as exciting as Hangman vs Omega, it might be best in the long run. The challenge now is for AEW to keep Page's momentum going, and also keeping him this over with the audience. And before you go, why not check out my video where I discuss 5 ways that AEW could book the debut of CM Punk.